Dovier was a world of perilous cliffs and colossal stone pillars rising like spears into the sky. The Grippians, towering primate-like beings with dark gray fur and amber eyes, had learned to swing from the cliffs, to climb sheer rock faces, to leap from branch to branch in the dense forests. Over countless generations, these traits had forged a society that revered strength, cunning, and absolute authority. Their cities were wonders of stonework and engineering, fortresses hewn into mountainsides, bridges spanning yawning chasms, citadels perched above swirling mists. From their high halls, the Council of Elders governed not only Dovier, but the conquered worlds of Forva and Blatu. On Forva, the green-skinned, amphibious Vorlians lived in misery. From the day the Grippians' black ships descended, the Vorlians had been stripped of their songs, forced to mine rare minerals beneath the acidic marshes. On Blatu, the insectoid Blats, once builders of delicate hive towers, were made to construct brutalist monuments glorifying Grippian might. The Grippians told themselves it was just. That the strong must guide the weak. That the gods of stone and sky demanded dominion. The human ships appeared on the edge of the system as gleaming specks of silver light. When they drew near, they resembled enormous knives, long, sharp vessels bristling with antennae and sensor arrays. They spoke of peace. They offered gifts, exotic seeds, data on distant stars, crates of gleaming metals unknown even to Grippian metallurgists. At first, Elder Mokhtar Graal was impressed. Look how they carry themselves, Mokhtar mused as he watched a recording of the first human envoy disembarking from her shuttle. No weapons displayed, but eyes sharp as hunting birds. Human trade began. Markets in Kravat City filled with alien silks, microprocessors and rich spices. Grippians traded ores from Forva and stone carvings from Dovier's cliffs. There was curiosity, even excitement at the possibilities. But then, during a summit in the Grand Arena, Ambassador Elena Price stepped forward. She was small compared to the towering Grippians, but her eyes glowed with quiet resolve. Honored counselors, Elena said, her voice echoing in the vast chamber, the Human Alliance recognizes the value of trade and friendship. But we must ask, when will you release the Vorlians and Blats from bondage? Surely, you see that slavery is a stain on your greatness. A rumble of anger swept through the Grippian delegation. Is this a threat? Human Elder Mokhtar demanded, his fingers gripping the stone podium so tightly cracks spread beneath his hands. No threat, Elena replied carefully. A plea. There is a better way. Mokhtar's eyes blazed. You come to our home, you dine at our tables, and now you dare to lecture us on our traditions. Begone. Leave our world or face our wrath. The humans retreated to their ships, but they did not leave the Dovier system. Their outposts multiplied on Forva's moons. They built relay stations on asteroids. Spy satellites appeared in Dovier's orbit. When the Grippians demanded explanations, the humans responded with polite evasions. Human patrols began shadowing Grippian ships. Arguments flared in council chambers. Some Grippians urged caution, the humans were cunning, and their weapons unknown. But others demanded immediate war. When the humans finally declared the system strategically important, Mokhtar slammed his fist onto the council table, sending shards of stone flying. Then we will show them why our ancestors carved their legends into the bones of mountains, he roared. On a blood-red dawn, the council gathered in Kravat City's Grand Arena. Thousands of Grippians climbed to the terraces, chanting war songs older than their oldest cities. Drums pounded like thunder. Smoke from ceremonial fires drifted into the pink sky. Elder Mokhtar raised the war banner high. Sons and daughters of Dovier. The time has come to cast these arrogant humans into the void. By claw and by stone, we will break them. In the crowd, warriors beat their chests in unison. A ripple of fury spread through the gathered masses. Within hours, fleets of Grippian dreadnoughts launched from Dovier's orbital shipyards. Vast wedges of iron-black metal accelerated toward the human outposts. Plasma cannons thundered, vaporizing satellites and station hulls. The first skirmishes were fierce, seemingly affirming Grippian strength. A human destroyer squadron tried to intercept the Grippian fleet near the outer moon of Forva. Aboard the Grippian flagship Hammer of the Ancestors, Captain Rocket Var shouted orders. Bring us within 2 kilometers, tear them apart. The Hammer's main battery discharged with a brilliant blue-white pulse, punching through the lead human destroyer, HRS Resolute. The human vessel split in two, flaming wreckage spiraling into the darkness. A chorus of cheers swept the Grippian ships, but the celebrations were short-lived. Hours later, the human Third Fleet arrived, sleek carriers and knife-shaped frigates gliding into the system. The Grippians targeted them with plasma volleys, only to see shimmering blue shields flare and hold. Human ships moved like dancers, their formations fluid, their responses immediate. On the bridge of the human flagship HRS Avenger, Admiral Lizette Chow stood with arms folded behind her back. Her officer spoke quietly, efficiently. "They're using rigid attack formations, Admiral," said her tactics officer. "We can flank them." "Do it," Chow ordered. "Deploy attack drones. Hit their command ships first." Swarm after swarm of needle-shaped drones burst from human hangars, weaving between Grippian capital ships, slashing through their hulls with microtorpedoes. Targeting systems aboard Grippian ships sparked and died. Communication channels flooded with static. Entire squadrons lost cohesion. On the Hammer, Captain Var howled in disbelief as human drones pierced the main reactor. A blinding explosion blossomed in space, consuming the flagship in a corona of fire. With the Grippian fleet in disarray, the human alliance advanced on Forva. Orbital strikes carved burning scars across Grippian command posts. Human marines in power armor descended in drop pods, slamming into slave labor camps with pinpoint precision. In one camp, Vorlians cowered as marines broke through the fences. Sergeant Carter, a human marine, raised a loudspeaker. "You are free." He shouted in the Vorlian tongue, his translators projecting his voice in croaking syllables. "Take up arms. Fight with us." Vorlians looked at one another. Then an elder stepped forward, grabbed a plasma rifle from a fallen Grippian, and croaked a battle cry. The Vorlians swarmed the guards. For the first time in centuries they were fighting for themselves. In orbit, human corvettes weaved through the upper atmosphere, hunting down the last Grippian gunships. Within a week, Forva was lost. The Grippian garrison surrendered. Bladu fell next. When human marines arrived, they were met not by resistance, but by eager insectoid blats, who led them through hidden tunnels to Grippian munitions depots. The blats, once forced to carve Grippian statues, now used their claws to dismantle the empire from within. The human 7th Carrier Group blanketed Bladu's skies. Missile strikes reduced planetary defense grids to smoldering craters. Grippian ground forces fled into the jungles, but human drop teams flushed them out with sonic weapons. In the halls of the council, panic reigned. Elders screamed accusations. Mokhtar's mane had grown ragged. His eyes, once proud, were haunted. "How can they be everywhere at once?" Elder Raver shouted. "Their ships are smaller. Why are they faster? Why do our cannons do nothing?" Mokhtar slammed his fist on the table. "We are Grippians. We must never bow. Pride will not stop their armies," Raver hissed. The human fleets appeared in orbit over Dovier in waves, like a silver tide. Plasma beams from Grippian orbital defenses stabbed upward, but human railguns hammered them into silence. Dropships plunged into the skies, their hulls glowing red from atmospheric re-entry. On the outskirts of Kravat City, the final battle began. Grippian warriors in heavy armor charged across stone bridges, roaring their battle cries. Human marines met them with disciplined volleys of Gauss fire. Explosions echoed among the ancient stone spires. Skirmishes raged in narrow alleys. Human combat walkers clanked through city squares, sweeping the battlefield with autocannons. In the council hall, Mokhtar watched from a balcony as human forces advanced. He lifted the war banner, holding it aloft as plasma blasts rained around him. A human strike team burst through the chamber doors. Sergeant Carter emerged, rifle raised. He shouted over the roar of gunfire, "Drop the banner, Mokhtar. It's over." Mokhtar snarled. "We will never yield to you, human." Sergeant Carter lowered his weapon. "You don't have to yield, only to see there's a better way." For a long moment Mokhtar stood trembling. Then the war banner slipped from his fingers, clattering to the stone floor. The war ended with the Grippian surrender. The human alliance imposed strict conditions: the abolition of slavery, the establishment of self-rule for Vorlians and Blats, and disarmament of the Grippian fleets. The humans sent engineers to help rebuild, medics to heal the wounded, and teachers to train former slaves. The Grippians, once so certain of their supremacy, struggled to adapt to a new world where strength alone did not rule. Elder Mokhtar, spared by the humans, lived to see his people begin to change. He walked the halls of a rebuilt Kravat city, seeing human and Grippian children playing together under the watchful eyes of their parents. He spoke often to younger Grippians. "We lost because we thought strength meant crushing the weak," he told them. "But the humans taught us strength can mean lifting others up." Years passed. Dovier's skies filled with human and Grippian ships trading peacefully. The Vorlians and Blatts joined planetary councils. Where once whips cracked in slave camps, now schools taught mathematics and engineering. Former warriors learned to build, to heal, to dream. On a bright morning, the first joint Human-Grippian Alliance fleet launched from Dovier's orbit, not as conquerors but as explorers. Their ships glided together into the stars, bearing banners of peace and unity. In the end, the mightiest empire in the Dovier system did not fall because its weapons were too weak, but because it failed to see that true strength lies not in domination, but in the bonds of respect and cooperation.